Well, it's 25 years of fearless and independent journalism. Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Another tragedy on our roads, as at least 30 have been confirmed dead at Kintampo. Why are our roads becoming so deadly? We take you live there and also hear from the National Road Safety Authority. Also coming up today, all the views as women take center stage as we mark International Women's Day, which fell yesterday. I'm Emma, so we'll bring you the details after the break. A day everyone would wish to continue to see their relatives in good health. That's not the case for relatives of some 30 people and maybe more who perished in this gory accident at Kintampo. Eyewitnesses say the two vehicles, a Grandbird bus and a Sprinter, went up in flames after they crashed. Trapped passengers who could not escape were burnt. We'll take you live shortly to the hospital where 6 survivors are being treated. A while ago, my colleague Erastus Asare-Donko did this piece to camera at the scene of the accident.
And if you come in here, you could see that indeed this was a head-on collision. The impact was so great, and both engines, collided in that order, and so it sent, the fire going. This is where the fire started, and you can see the devastation that was caused by the fire right here. I have somebody who came here in the morning when the fire had engulfed the vehicle. Can you come in here? And he's the assembly member for which area is that?
Dawa Electra area.
Dawa Electra area, which is just before Kintampo. And as you can see, come on, tell me, when you came here in the morning, what did you see when the vehicle was in flames? So can you show me where the fire was? So he's telling me that when he came here, they had fire had engulfed the two vehicles, so it was burning, and he thinks that the fire had engulfed the U-turn bus first before it came here. Why do you say so?
Say, me find say na denis yesiye ni nyina no eye U-turn bus no say ho problem near den efiri. So ohwe scene na according to omo survival ye ni bia na omo wakam no omo kire say omo driver no na omo ni free ne kwan mu eba be pim 207 na kofa we in the buy no. So
what he's saying is that according to the survivors he spoke to, it was the U-turn bus on which they were traveling that veered off its road and caused the accident. But tell me, and you can show when you came, were people still alive in the vehicle?
Okay, buy na binimu wo mu de ba wo hwa ade ne di kan see ne de wo hwa my colleague assembly member baako ono no over the next town from Dawa to Kawampe. Ono de otimi beduru antem ansa na o send the signal ma me so me yeden me ba honorable Matthias obo modern panti sa tema ye ba ye no ono de duru ha ja me ansa na me yeden me ba nti onu di kan be piba me ba ya na nipa wo mu a omo yeden omo su na omo tiatia awurade kyese nso enya ade a obi abetima yeden aben ofise ja to kanum aka na yeden ehye samre no so na fire service for so na kwan so.
Where were the people who were screaming? Where were they?
Okay, me fa na say omo ana omo su na omo tiatia ni na omo nyina omo ben ne ye omo nyina omo ben.
Which of the vehicles were they?
Vehicle no hwa omo doso pa wo mu ye we no 207 no 207 ne de ba kokura ni wa survival ye omu nyina wu ye.
So what he's saying is that when they came in here, people were still trapped inside the vehicle, and they were screaming. Some of them were screaming, "God help us, God help us." They were in there. I didn't think I'm
okay, no bia wo pepa obia wo willing say nka ye beboa omo nanso sebio susumpe nanso honam emre je se wo hweja esihye na enya de a wobetimi eden wobetimi aben ho efise na nkase na na omu sisu omu tietem na areho pa se wani tua se wunua oyonko maame papa obabi ehye na opese nka wo yi ni free sa wo hiahia mu nanso untimi nyeden untimi ben ho eno na je se eye fire service for so ba no na chese me fa say ba bia duru no panfo say owo kura de a nkwantimi nje.
So what he's saying is that they could not help them because of the raging inferno. The fire was so strong that they couldn't get close to the vehicle. And he says it is disheartening to watch your fellow human being scream for help and is being bent alive, but there's nothing you can do to help. It was later that the fire service team came. By the time they came, all of them were dead. And so this is the wreckage, and as you can see, quite a lot has been ravaged by the fire.
The Sasaridonko at the scene of the accident. So far, the death toll is 30, while 6 persons who managed to escape death are being treated in hospital. We'll find out shortly if the search for victims has come to an end. But first, here's a survivor and an eyewitness narrating how he managed to escape the accident.
We had a call that accident happened at Gulumpe area. So I quickly mobilized my men and then we dispatched with my men to the scene. And we got here 4:59 exactly hours this morning. So when we got here, in fact, the information couldn't get to us quickly. But fortunately, we come the 2 buses, U-turn bus and then Sprinter bus, they collide. The U-turn bus is from Boku.
So how many people have you been able to transport?
Yes, for the people we are able to rescue, we had 6 people out of the total number of the 2 buses. Okay. And then 1 is okay. We transported 5 to the Kintampo Municipal Hospital and they are receiving treatment currently.
Women or men?
Yes, we have 4 women and then 1 man.
Chief Executive of the area, Michael Sakwade-Abafo, says his outfit will have to discuss with hospital authorities how the charred bodies can be identified.
We don't have any option except to maybe find out from the medical people if they have a way by which we can decipher one body from the other. Otherwise, we will have no option left to us than to, visit what happened, unfortunately, last year, mass burial. It's quite unfortunate, quite unfortunate. We will have to work together, all the agencies.
Does such situation bring burden on you as municipal, as districts?
Seriously, this, as you have seen, occurred within my jurisdiction. And so I have a responsibility to ensure that the bodies are kept well, pending preparation for whatever form of burial that we have to undertake, whether mass or whatever. We also have some legal issues involved here. We don't want to do things and later on family members of the deceased will come with lawsuits and all that. That why did you do ABCD? So I'm sure that the police will do the needful, all the agencies will do the needful, and at the end of the day, we'll come to a conclusion that will help all of us.
All right, thank you.
Well, let's take you live now to the Kintampo General Hospital, where my colleague Rastus Sasaridonko has been speaking to relatives of the victims. Hello, Rastus. Hello, Rastus. Yeah. Great. So what's the situation there now?
I can hear you.
What's the situation there now?
Well, we are currently at the Kintampo Government Hospital. We are yet to get clearance to see the 5 survivors who were brought in here, but we have been able to establish that 5 of the survivors were brought in here. They are currently receiving treatment in the emergency care unit. And so that is what we know for now. For now, we can confirm that 29 bodies, some of whom are bent beyond recognition, have been deposited at a mortuary facility at Jema. Jema is about 40 minutes drive from Kintampo. So that is where the bodies of about 29 people have been sent to. Currently, we do not have relatives who are coming in to identify yet. We are yet to see people as word travels across to people who are traveling on that particular bus. But this is what we know currently.
Okay, Erastus, so how are they going to try to identify the bodies? You know, we know that they've been charged beyond recognition. Do we have any idea of what they're going to do to be able to identify the bodies?
Well, we are yet to speak with authorities on that one, but we have heard some possibilities. We are looking at DNA testing, for example, of the remains to link them to families who will be trooping to the various, the mortuary to test to see and confirm whether those are the bodies. The other one is to talk about mass burial, but that is not being considered at the moment. So we are yet to know which of these alternatives the authorities will use, you know, in identifying the bodies.
Okay, so Erastus, there were 2 buses. One is a Grand Bird bus and another one is a Sprinter. So obviously there would have been more people in that bus than the 30 that we're speaking about. Do we know if there are any more people trapped in the buses or in the wreckage?
Well, so we got you footage from the scene of the accident, for example, but we were able to establish through eyewitness accounts that there were more people in the Sprinter bus than the U-turn bus. The U-turn bus had few passengers because it was carrying lots of bags of vegetables, tomatoes, pepper, and other things. So there were few you know, passengers on that particular bus, but there were many in the Sprinter bus. But all of them, we do understand that many of them perished. 6 people survived. Now, one whose injuries were not so fatal, he was helping even remove some of the bodies from the wreckage. What we do understand also in the morning through various accounts is that when some people got there, they were still trapped in the vehicle. Some of them were yelling and crying for help, but the inferno, the fire, was so intense that they could not get to the vehicle to save any of them until the fire service came in, you know, diffused the fire, and then they were able to save 6 of them. 1 has been discharged. 5 of them are currently in this facility where we are at the moment receiving treatments. They have various degrees of injuries at the moment.
Okay, so would you be able to tell us exactly how the area is like the road there? Was it a head-on collision? Was there anything that actually led to this kind of accident?
Well, so looking at the scene of the accident is clear enough. You could see the tire marks on the ground. You could see that the U-turn vehicle was coming in from the Tamale end of the Kintampo road. The Sprinter bus was coming in from Kintampo end towards Tamale. And so you could see the marks that the U-turn bus veered off its lane, and you could see the tire marks, the screeching marks all over on the ground, and got into the lane of the Sprinter bus. At that point, you could see clearly that the U-turn bus driver either was sleeping or was not communicating very well, and so he got surprised, veered off his lane, and then the Sprinter bus was also trying to avoid him, so he got onto the pavement. and that is where they both met. So it was a direct collision there. The impact was so great that it caught fire, and which consumed the two buses. So it was a direct collision we are talking about here.
Well, thank you very much, Erastus Asari Donko. We'll be coming back to you for more updates later on. But still on the issue, Chairperson of the National Commission on Civic Education, Josephine Nkrumah, says there is an urgent need for punitive measures for traffic regulation breaches to be enforced. She spoke on the Super Morning Show with Chairperson of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, saying most of these accidents are results of miscalculations.
A lot of it has to do with attitudes, and of course it also has to do with the quality of the kind of vehicles that we find on our roads, the kind of tires we patronize these days. There's a lot of second-hand tires, and we need some policy decisions on that in terms of banning these things, because if you look at the rate of people losing their lives on the road, it is frightening. And for me, who is always on the highways of Ghana, you see it firsthand, the kind of recklessness associated with driving. And then, of course, at the weekends, a lot of people are going back to their villages for funerals and, you know, other engagements. And so some of them are in a hurry to get back, and you have drivers who think, oh, I need to get them back to their destinations as quickly as I can so I can, you know, go back and get another set of passengers and, you know, make more money. So it's a multiplicity of all of these things. But like Mame said, I think we need to begin to enforce the laws, because you have people who should have been charged with negligence and manslaughter, but they're going scot-free, and this has contributed in no small way to the kind of slaughterhouse that my boss, my former lecturer is referring to.
We're losing a lot of manpower as well,
yes.
And it's sad that we should wake up on a Monday morning to the news of at least 26 people dying in such a gory manner on our roads. Prof, do you think that it is an issue of needing new policies, or just enforcing what we have and finding a way to minimize the consumption of alcohol over the weekends?
Thank you, Charlotte. You have concluded that alcohol has a part to play in it. Yes, it may be true, but I think there are a number of factors. Certainly, there's a lot more movement at weekends for funerals and so on. People leave home very early, especially if they are doing day return.
Yeah.
They leave home very early. Sometimes they have not eaten, which means that their sugar level is low. They are making bad decisions on the road. And as a teacher, I've been taking interest in checking which of the drivers has a good sense of mathematics. Because sometimes in overtaking, you can tell it is poor calculation.
Yeah.
So we may not think of these things offhand, but in truth, some of the poor decisions are based on a poor sense of calculation as to whether I can overtake this vehicle and be safe.
Or whether I even need to overtake this vehicle.
Or whether indeed you need to overtake the vehicle at all. Sometimes I also find, because today is International Women's Day, it's a point I'll make. Have you ever noticed when you are driving that when you overtake a driver, particularly a taxi driver, whatever it takes,
he must overtake you.
Overtake the woman.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Just because you're a woman.
Yes. So there's something there. And then we also have people who ordinarily don't have much power, but when they sit behind powerful vehicles, feel powerful.
True.
Right.
And then they bully smaller vehicles on the road and so on. I think it's a multiplicity of factors. And maybe we really should take time to study what is happening, because we can't keep losing
26, and they're expecting a lot more, so they're not done.
And I'm told it was a kind of head-on.
Yes.
How can there be a head-on collision unless somebody is sleeping and so going out of their lane? Right. Or something that so distracted them that they were in the lane of the other person. It's really distressing.
Well, joining me now for a On this worrying trend is Henry Asumeni. He's from the National Road Safety Authority. He's actually the senior manager there. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you.
Let me pick your thoughts, though, first of all, on what has just happened. 29 or 30 people dead.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, this morning we all woke up to this bad news, and I must say I wish the families condolences of what has happened, and we don't want such things to be happening, because when such things happen, it saddens everybody. And if you realize today, every news is on this, and everybody's schedule has changed because of this accident. Mm-hmm. No matter where you are, no matter where you intended to go, no matter what you are doing. So I wish that these things would not happen. Yes, preliminary investigations, as at now, it just happened this way, but preliminary investigations shows that one, it was a head-on collision, and there were two buses. One was I hear people say U-turn, but I think from preliminary investigation, it's a Grand Bed bus.
A Grand Bed, yes.
A Grand Bed bus. And then the other one was a Sprinter bus. Sprinter. One was heading towards the Grand Bed, one was coming from Tamale, and the other one was heading towards Tamale. Mm. And from preliminary investigation, the accident happened on the lane of the Sprinter, on that shoulder, which meant that the Grand Bed bus went off his lane into the lane of the Sprinter, who even tried to swerve onto the shoulder, and the accident happened there. Yeah. If you look at this, it's very similar to what happened some time ago, where we lost about 35 people on the Cape Coast Takoradi Road. Preliminary investigation also shows that it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it shows that the driver of the Grand Bed bus was a little sleepy. So if that is confirmed, then it means that there was fatigue, and fatigue is the major cause of this accident. And we've always said that fatigue is one of the major causes of fatal accidents, because when the driver is sleeping, he doesn't even see the danger for him to try to avoid it.
First of all, how are you going to confirm that the driver was sleepy or fatigued, or how are you going to confirm exactly what happened for him to actually veer off his lane?
When the investigation team is doing this investigation, they take all, let's say, where he came from, what he did before he moved, when he got there. Sometimes, let's say, if you see time marks to show that the vehicle tried to stop, then you realize that maybe he was awake. But sometimes you look at the road and you realize that the vehicle didn't even try to stop, which means that he didn't even see the danger, which means something might have distracted him, or he was sleeping. So when the investigation team goes there, and then they will come and confirm whatever happened on the road, because it could be that he was overtaken, it could be that he was sleeping, but as at now, preliminary investigation shows he was sleeping, because no vehicle has been confirmed to be on the road when the accident happened, which means
so obviously it wasn't overtaken.
Yes, obviously it wasn't overtaken.
Okay. Well, late at night, drivers often travel late at night. I mean, whether they're commercial drivers or, private drivers. How do you expect people to be able to identify whether they're tired, where they can park off the road, or where they can actually go and take a rest? I mean, all these things are important. Also, what can passengers do if they identify that their driver is actually maybe not driving well or tired? What can passengers also do?
Okay, thank you very much. By law, when you pick the LI 2180, sections in it says that when you cannot drive continuously for more than 4 hours without taking a break. And if you have driven continuously for 8 hours within a 24-hour period, you should stop and rest for the night before you continue your journey. So by law, you are supposed to not to drive continuously for 4 hours. After 4 hours, you take a 30 minutes rest. You can drive again continuously for another 4 hours, and you have to stop. Wherever you are, you have to take a rest till the next window for 24 hours before you can continue. So, but at the authority, we advise that you shouldn't even wait for these 4 hours to come. Every 2 hours, take a break. And where do you take these breaks? Wherever you are.
I was just about to ask you that question, because we don't have the kind of infrastructure that would be needed if somebody's taking such a long journey. Take a 2-hour break, take a 4-hour break. Where do I take a break?
Not a 4-hour break. We are saying that
after 4 hours, don't drive for more than 4 hours.
If after 4 hours, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 15 minutes break, 4 hours, 30 minutes break.
So where do I take this break?
You look at our roads, our situation is such that most of the safe places that you can park off and take a rest is at the filling stations. So you can identify a suitable filling station along the road, just park off there. And when we say take a rest, if you are, let's say, let me use this studio as an example. If I work here, and I'm saying I'm resting, and I'm still in this working environment, you don't really rest because you still feel that you are working. So it's the same way with the driver. If we say take a rest, it doesn't mean sit in the car. Sometimes taking a rest even doesn't mean relaxing. It could be just walk around, and you'll be refreshed to come back and start again. So yes, when we say take a break, please move from the car, get out of the vehicle, and then walk around. Sometimes, you know, you're in an air-conditioned car, you've been in an air condition for 2 hours, 4 hours, just go out, take fresh air, and then come back. You see that you'll be refreshed to continue the drive. So these are some of the tidbits that we give when it comes to fatigue driving. So as I said, by law, 4 hours, you take a break. But by advice from the National Road Safety Authority, every 2 hours, you take a break. Okay. And we know these filling stations are across everywhere. You can get a very suitable filling station, you park off, and then you take a rest. Now, your question was, what if passengers realize that their driver is maybe he's fatigued, but he's still driving? We say that I want to bring in this Arrive Alive campaign. Yes. Within the Arrive Alive campaign, we have something we call passenger empowerment, which we say speak up. What are we trying to tell you? We are trying to tell you that as soon as you sit in the vehicle, you are telling the driver that, oh, take me to Kumasi safely. So if the driver is doing anything on the road that you feel you might not get to your destination, speak up. Tell the driver. But we are saying don't tell him in a nice way. Don't insult him. You understand? Because he's also human. But if you are telling him and he's also not listening, at the next police checkpoint, report him. And one thing I want to tell passengers is that if you report an incident, please stand by it. Don't report and say you don't want to. You know, sometimes you report an incident. Now, when they want to take your statement, you say, no, you don't want to write anything. Please write that statement.
Well, passengers, you know, after the passengers actually talked nicely, as you say, don't antagonize the person, talk nicely to him. And the driver is still insisting that he'll go on. What happens then? What do you do?
As I said, the next police barrier, you just inform the police. Okay.
You know, we're connecting back to Erastus Asari Donko at Kintampo General Hospital because he has a victim there right now who's going to speak to us. Erastus. Hello, Erastus. Yes, you're back with us. Okay. Can you hear me, Erastus?
So we've been able to get access to some of the survivors, and currently, let me say that they've all been discharged, treated and discharged. We are left with this lady who we are going to speak with. She's a survivor. She was in the U-turn bus when it collided head-on with a Sprinter bus. Now, she's also lost a baby through this accident. So she's in a very bad state at the moment, emotionally. Let me speak with her. Mami, what to say? Now what the bus ne mudi here?
The bus kesiam.
U-turn bus no. So she said she was in the U-turn bus. I didn't see before say car ne be accident no. Dia na hu.
Tama car ne be accident. Na me ti driver ne seat me sanso. Nti me kita akwada. Na boy bi so temincha na boa me na akwada no.
Akwala no wadi mfie say.
Oh, what your yes. Nti tama akwada no dai na boy na ji na mama. Nti tama jana to car no. Na me ndaye nso se na akwada no me ntumi mpaja no. Se na hit wom no. Mantumi ma yesa mantumi boy na okita akwada no akam akwada no so akam.
So she's telling me that she was seated on the same lane with the driver, and when the accident occurred, she was holding a baby, a 12-year-old boy. but at the time when the crash occurred, a 12-year-old girl, she couldn't pick the girl because the flames were so intense, the heat was so much, he couldn't pick the girl. And then the guy who was helping her in the car with the baby, the guy is also dead, and so she couldn't do anything. Emra, before the accident in Bisino, near Corso.
I try.
Then accident nearby.
A buy night to say driver no wada. Until driver no free new quaimo. Until 207 no, I had to say Oberquark fa ngura kwen. Ona bas no amwasia. Until time I see no horse obemusi nipa door so pa because bin mu da say window na no sa. Nka ye doors a ebetumi ayi bebre so ye doors.
Pims ano. Diana o den talk or to him Diana.
Ti said
out the cannon. Into Pims ano o den talk or to baby Diana see what can.
Na get na woman nim no eno na tumi apai glass no nti glass ni ntan ho na ye nyina ya ahuru ato fom nti eto fom ye no cat bi bresi ye gina omo angina obiazo ni o ebe bua ye ho no
sata na nipa na eshi
na nipa no si omo tiamu to se no unu se na manfo tiamu.
So she says that after he said the driver was sleeping actually, and so he veered off his lane into the Sprinter bus's lane. The Sprinter bus tried to swerve into the bush, but that is where the bus was also headed. So it was a head-on collision. After the collision, he said many of them were lying by the windows. It was one girl who was able to crack open one of the windows, and so that is where they passed through to come out of the vehicle. But I asked her what was happening in the vehicle. She said it was burning, and the people in the Sprinter bus were crying for help. And she's just telling me if I know the kind of cries and the kind of emotions that were going on in that vehicle, it was very, very sad. Sisi onyem.
Bachan.
Akolani okay.
Bachan. Mako yi photo mo so ya okay.
Say na feel sisi.
Ni feel she me kono na ye me ya. Na ya me cha akoda na ewu no nya me bazusu. Me ko me papa no ho na mo de ama me ti me pe akoda me wo ye me mba no ina mo ye mbemma. Ana me ti me pe akoda oba kita na mo de ama me.
So I asked her, she says she's pregnant now. They've conducted some tests. They say the baby is okay. She's, however, worried about the girl, the 12-year-old girl who is demised now. He said it's not her real child. It was somebody's child she was helping to convey.
Yeah.
So
this is such a harrowing story. Rastus, were you saying that they have actually, the survivors have been discharged?
Yes, the survivors have been discharged. We are now left with her. She says she only has pain in the neck, but she's fine. She's pregnant now. The baby is also fine. So she's the only person who is currently among the survivors who is at the hospital at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Erastus. Well, Henry, there you have it. One of the survivors is actually saying that the driver was sleeping, and that's how the collision happened.
Yeah, so as I said, preliminary investigation revealed that he was sleeping, and it means that he was fatigued, he was tired, and that was why he was sleeping.
Okay. You know, we've been doing this Arrive Alive campaign for quite a while now, for a few weeks. We know that the Road Safety Authority had put in measures and had put a lot of education out there, and we have also been supporting this. Have you seen any change or any, you know, what's happening? Do we see anything changing?
Thank you very much. Normally, when it comes to road safety campaigns, to see the effect of a road safety campaign, it will take some time. So we cannot say that we can see any changes within this time that we have started. But apart from this campaign we are running with multimedia and other media stations, the National Road Safety Authority also is in collaboration with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority and then the MTTD of the Ghana Police Service, where we are training, we want to train commercial vehicle drivers. We have actually started on a pilot basis where we have done some, and some of the things that they are reminded of is this rest periods. So if you look in the modules that they are being taught, fatigue is one of the major things they are being taught, that by law this is what it says, 4 hours, but by advice every 2 hours, because your body cannot sustain that pressure for long. Because driving is something, it's very complex, like that all your senses are working. And because of that, the likelihood that you get tired is very high. So you need to take breaks while you're driving. And then even on long journeys, let's say Accra to Tamale, one person cannot drive from Accra to Tamale.
That's a long journey.
Yes, that's a long journey. Long. Yes, so you need a helping driver. Maybe the driver could be stationed somewhere in Kumasi or after Kumasi. When you get there, you change. Or the driver could be in the bus. When you get to somewhere, you change.
I think that's what they normally do. They have extra, drivers in the bus. You know, you said something that you're training drivers, commercial drivers. Hasn't this been a consistent thing? The training? Because if we're now telling them that they have to take breaks.
We've been doing a lot of education. But this one, you know, when you go to the LI 2180, some of the sections say that every commercial driver is supposed to go through a 36-hour training before your license is renewed. And this is a clause that we want to activate. So we are doing that by first piloting it.
36 hours.
Yes, of training. We are piloting it, and in the pilot, the government supported it. So the government paid for all the, no driver paid for anything. And we've been able to train about 13,000 commercial drivers. So this is something that we want to sustain. But as you know, it is your benefit. It is one of, now it has become a necessity for your profession. So you would.
So they're supposed to pay for it now?
Yes, they're supposed to pay for it.
The driver unions can get together and do this, or
yes, the driver unions
can
come together and do this. Individual drivers can also decide to go on their own and do it. So we are running this with the DVLA, the MTTD, and we are picking instructors from the Ghana Driving School Associations, because they have the license to train drivers.
But if they're supposed to pay for, how can you ensure that it's actually adhered to? Because you know how it is. If we don't have the money, we'll say that we won't do the training.
It will get to a time that before you can renew your license, you need to show evidence of having attended this course before your license is renewed. But because we haven't gone on the large scale, it hasn't become a requirement yet at a DVLA, but very soon it will be.
How
where
soon
we know
is this?
that,
How soon
as I said, we are now putting things in place that every driver can go. Because that's now, if you say every driver should go, where are the facilities? We are putting all those things in place. That's why we
How long will it take? What are the timelines for this?
Oh, as we were doing the pilot, we were putting those things in place. And that's why we brought the Ghana Drive on board. But the Ghana Drive already have driving schools. It's just an additional program we want them to be running. And because of that, so we did a training of trainers for their instructors, and their instructors were the ones who did this training in the pilot. So after evaluation, now we are going to accredit schools to run this program. Now when we accredit these schools to run this program, it means that now as a driver, you don't have an excuse, because there's somewhere you can go. Then it will kick in.
You know, you said you've trained like 13,000 drivers. How are you able to track them to see whether they have actually taken this training and actually executing everything that they learned from this? Okay,
what we are doing is that we did it on regional basis. So we have their list, the list of drivers that have been trained. So what we do is during the evaluation, we are going to be tracking them. Let's say we could just take people to sit in their buses without their knowledge. As they drive, we see whether they are practicing what they are being taught in the classroom or not. So those are some of the measures that we are going to take. So we have the list of all drivers who are being trained.
Great. You know, Henry, hold your horses for a moment, because joining us on Skype is Ako Hayfon. She's a clinical psychologist. It's been years of consistent public education, but we keep recording accidents. So, Madam Hayfon, welcome to the conversation. Hello, Aku.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you now.
Great.
We've been doing education, it seems like forever. Every time we do driver education, every year we have campaigns running. But we still see quite a lot of accidents happening. Are we getting something wrong?
Well, it looks like we have been getting something wrong, and that is the consistency, lack of which we are getting this problem. Reason being that the people supposed to ensure that the order are not doing their work well. That is the first thing. Secondly, it looks like we are just not, how do I say, we're just not orderly or routine. We're not being consistent with our way of doing things. And that is also a problem.
I know that it takes quite a while for people's attitudes to change, because you know you're going to have to do a lot of communication, show them why they have to do something before they actually change and everything. And then you did talk about enforcement as well. Why are you saying that enforcement is not as it should be? Because this is what I'm gathering for what you just said.
Well, it looks like, to a large extent, the authorities supposed to ensure that those drivers are supposed to adhere to their rules are not doing so. Again, we realize that from the gentleman's narration, it means that the driver was tired and sleepy. How do we ensure that we don't get sleepy and tired drivers working? Because these are people's lives that are at stake, you know. So we need to be able to ensure at all times that people are well and ready to take up the work they're supposed to do.
With enforcement also comes the need for resources, the need to educate even those who are going to enforce and, you know, make sure that the law also works or the regulations work. Also with that comes the need to make sure that there are punitive measures as well, because people always complain that they get away with everything. The enforcement has to work. So where is the funding going to come from for the enforcement to work? Because a lot of resources are needed to do this.
Well, there are companies that are being worked for. You pay for the travels that you go on, and therefore these companies are the ones to ensure that their drivers are well taken care of. Again, we should say that apart from the drivers being well taken care of, there's always this thing nowadays, well, where people want to make a quick dash to a certain place and get back because they need to come and take care of their children, or they need to go back to another business or something. We need to be able to be well, we need to be able to plan well our days in order not to rush the driver, or to ensure that the driver is well equipped and well taken care of, and then he will do his job well and we'll all be safe.
Yeah, because at one point you did say that we're naturally, I don't want to say naturally we're lawless, but it looks like if we know we can get away with jumping the red light, we will. I mean, motorbikes jump the red light all the time, but we don't see any punitive measures or them being charged. I don't know what happened to the spot fines and all that. Probably we can revisit those issues as well. So let me just step away quickly from this, this issue and talk about the effects of accidents. We just spoke to a victim, and honestly, she told such a very, very, very sad story and gory story. And she can see that she's traumatized. How do we also get assistance for victims like that?
Well, the Ghana Psychological Council is there, Ghana Psychological Association is there, Counseling Association is there, so we can always help. Once we are told where they are, we can always get our members to take care of their psychological help. In terms of psychological help, if they need any, we can always be there for them.
Okay, you are there, but for a victim such as the one we just spoke to in Kintampo, for instance, how would she know where to go? How would she know what to do? What about at the hospitals? Who is there to guide them? Do we have any kind of...
The hospitals?
Please go on.
Some of them do have, others don't. Others don't. So those that don't have to get in touch with the Ghana Psychological Council, the Ghana Psychological Association, the Ghana National Association of Counselors, certified counselors, so that we can come in to do the job that we need to do for them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Madam Akuhefon, for joining us. We're grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you. Well, also joining me is Reverend Cyril Crabb. He runs an NGO called the Accident Victim Support Group. He has been leading a campaign to get insurance cover for victims. You're welcome, Reverend.
Thank you very much. It's my first time meeting you.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hi.
It's actually my first time doing this too.
Wow.
It's International Women's Day, so I'm just sitting here.
Okay.
Sitting in for Gifty.
Imam Morrison, if
Yes,
I'm
it
right.
is.
Oh,
yes.
You are?
This is Emma.
Oh, okay, okay. Pleased to meet you once again.
Thank you, Reverend.
Wow.
How is the campaign going?
Well, let me say good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Well, the campaign is going well, but this morning and today from midnight, I have been very, very sad. Very, very sad. And I don't think I have to express that here on your set. But I believe that we should engage more and also move from ambition to action. It is becoming one too many. Myself seated here and my group, as well as the National Road Safety Authority, we are doing everything that is, policy possible to let the driver know that these things are, it should be supposedly a criminal, because you cannot just go and waste lives like that and then you walk free. In this particular case, they are dead. Fine. So if the drivers are dead and we cannot ascertain the cause of it, how about the victims? I have been doing this quite for some time now. The last time I came here with the victim from Ashaman. I came here, one from Ashaman, one also from the Ekumfi. We are still dealing with the issue, over 150 people who were buried, given a mass burial on the 22nd of March last year. I am still dealing with it, and I woke up this morning to hear this. And the victims, the families of victims called me and asked me, so what are you doing for these people? I can tell you matter-of-factly that nobody is adhering to the fact that victims of road crashes or road accidents need to be supported. Nobody. It's like the urgency attached to it, it's very, very low and less. Nothing is being done for victims.
So this is your focus?
This is my focus.
So, you were talking about it, but I also realized that you're coming from a spiritual angle of the whole thing, right?
Oh, you heard it?
Yes, I've heard that.
I have been speaking. I was in Takrady last 2 weeks to talk about this same issue, because I met with the Dompoase people, I met with the victims from survivors and their family from the Methodist crash, the group that crashed. I met at their office, and I met some of the Dompoase people. I made donations just last 2 weeks, and this thing came up. Now, one of the radio stations engaged me and asked me, Rev, is there any spiritual connotation? I went straight. Yes, there is. Just like any other human being who dies and is being treated and be given a befitting burial, we must treat everybody that through the accident or through this, no fault of them should die, must be given the same befitting burial.
So what is the spiritual aspect?
The spiritual aspect I'm talking about is that when a person dies on a road, he is going on a business. For all you know, they are the breadwinners of their family, so they are going to look for bread for the family. Out of that, they die. Now, they remain there. They remain where they are. Most of them go back and show themselves.
But
when
you say they remain where they are,
the spirit, the souls,
okay,
they don't just depart. Have you watched The Ghost before?
The Demi-Moore one?
The Ghost that came some time ago. I think I was very young then, okay, in the 90s. If you watch The Ghost, you will understand what I'm talking about. Good spirit don't just leave. There must be prayers. There must be some kind of a monument there to tell the spirit or the ghost that you are dead. And so you must leave. The moment they see an obituary, they see a sign, most especially wreath, the flowers. When they see it, now they understand that they are no more in the physical world. They are out of the earth, so they leave. But when none of these things are done, you know, it's broad, but when none of these things are done, they remain there. And let me tell you, some drivers who have gone for these things, you know, they've gone for protection. They see human beings at night sometimes, and they want to dodge.
Is that why you're organizing the prayer summit?
Actually, the prayer summit.
I heard about the all-night drivers prayer summit. Sort of
no,
what is it?
National All Drivers Prayer Summit. Now, what I use the prayer summit to tell drivers that after education, you need prayers to help you. Because it is true, on our roads, there are things that happen. I traveled by night from Takoradi to Accra. I deliberately did it, and most of the time I do. My sister, you will understand that drivers that get tired on the road, sometimes these things overtake them. But STC, I'm not doing for STC, but trust you me, 2 drivers for that journey is good. It's too good. And I think our drivers will now have to take it up. That for a journey from Accra to Kintampo or beyond, or even to BA, Sunyani and the rest, we must have 2 drivers to do it.
Yeah, because Henry was talking about that much earlier on in terms of how you can't drive for more than 4 hours without taking a break.
Exactly.
Or even 2 hours without taking a break.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, you know, so you've spoken about the spiritual side of it, which is quite important as well. But then you also spoke about the attention for the victims.
Exactly.
You say that we seem not to care.
Yes, we don't care at all.
And I was speaking about that earlier on.
Today, as I sit here, I'm not angry, but I'm sad. And I think about my fellow human being. It could be me. Accident victim support, we say that we are vulnerable. We are all vulnerable.
So how do we get to...
Our foundation, we are coming up with a model to seek for 1 Ghana, 1 victim from the country, everybody who want to show consent. We've been even let enough to support us, to give to them. Because even the survivors, like I heard my sister who is pregnant at this moment, you know, and is going through this, how we should be supported. Psychological support, like you said, our foundation gives psychological support to them. I'm a pastor, I'm a reverend minister, and sometimes I counsel some of them.
So you've been reaching out to them directly?
Directly.
Okay.
With this, I'll be moving to Kintampo tomorrow by the grace of God, and I'll meet with the authorities of the hospital, and I'll have access to them. I have access to Dompoase people, and then some others who are involved in this. Just last week, I have the list there. I've been meeting them. Even the families that died, you know, and they were buried last Saturday. I've gotten in touch with them, and we are still talking. But I'm going to move to Kintampo to meet these people to see how best we can give them this kind of psychological help, because the trauma. Look, you can be traumatized to an extent that you can even lose your life.
Exactly, and you wouldn't even want to step out of the house
these victims
anymore.
these days, for the past 3 years. pictures, you can see the accidents that comes, the crashes. If that is one too many, it is catastrophic, it is barbaric, it must be condemned. We don't know when it will be you.
You're very passionate about this, and
I
agree totally with you, because psychologically
I am the ambassador.
people.
I speak for accident victims. I have some for the past 8 years. He has not received anything. Mr. Tando, he's watching me now. It's very sad.
It's just a support.
I'm telling you. And if the whole Ghana will come, Insurance Commission, I'm begging them through this. They should engage us. The president, the government should engage us. There are some who are doing well. They call me National Road Safety Authority. I'm a road safety advocate. He's my boss. Yes, when it comes to road safety. Okay. And they are doing well, but we are telling people that at least one Ghana, one victim. This time we are moving, as I said, from ambition to action. And so we are going to see to how best we can reinstitute or we can reintegrate these victims back to their former life, to take their self-esteem. At least 02468694 is our number, and you can get in touch. 02468694 is our number. Every benevolent Ghanaian should get involved, and let's help these victims. It's very sad. You don't know when it will be.
Thank you, Reverend Crab. You know, well, I've been speaking to Henry Asumeni, Senior Manager of Programs and Planning at the National Road Safety Authority, and obviously Reverend Cyril Crab. He runs an NGO called the Accident Victim Support Group. We're going to take a break, but then, Henry, you said something to me just now.
Yes, I just wanted to make something clear. Yes, we realized, and people are saying that, yes, drunk driving is causing a lot of havoc. You know, especially as this one has come up, that it is the cause is fatigue. Within our body, our system, there's something called the circadian rhythm. And we are automatically plugged into sleep at night. Yeah, we are automatically plugged into sleep at night. So normally when you are doing any activity at night, you need to be extra careful, because the likelihood that you will sleep on it is very high.
That's true. So don't drive tired. Don't drive fatigued. We're taking a break, but remember, if you need to take a break whilst you're driving, do so. Back to the Pulse. Police in the Volta region is interrogating 4 persons arrested in connection with the murder of Assembly member for Zogokope South electoral area, Marcus Ajali. The Assembly member who was shot and killed in his home on the 1st of March by unknown assailants who made away with an unspecified sum of money. News of his murder sparked spontaneous protests, with residents blocking the Accra-Plau Road at Zogokope Bridge and burning tires, causing toll booth operators to flee. We have details of a statement issued by the police, but first my colleagues Komla Adom and Fred Kwame Asari visited the area and report more than 50% of revenue from road tolls was lost due to the protests.
It's been only 10 minutes of observing traffic flow at the toll booth close to the Zogokope Bridge along the Accra-Plau Highway, but we've counted more than 30 vehicles pulling through the toll booths here. 8 commercial vehicles with Togo and Nigerian number plates, a handful of private vehicles, and even motorbikes. This is an ECOWAS road. Economic benefit to residents and business owners here is immeasurable. District Chief Executive for South Tongue, Emmanuel Agama, underscores the importance of a highway.
This road is, ECOWAS road, where we have international or other people from neighboring countries passing through. As I said, from Abidjan through Accra to Lomé, Cotonou and Lagos, it's a corridor that most passengers plied, and therefore it's an important route to us as a country or as a district.
Now, if you're wondering why anyone will target this stretch, then this is why.
We have decided to vent our spleen and anger on the whole nation by blocking this Zogokope bridge. We are sorry for the inconvenience we may have caused to travelers, but this is our way of recording our displeasure towards what has been happening in the community.
So on the 1st and 2nd of March, angry residents of Zogokope poured onto the streets, mounted roadblocks, and impeded traffic flow for several hours.
They actually amassed themselves here around 9 a.m., blocked the road to vehicular traffic, and then to somehow register their displeasure and then show to the world and to the government that they are not happy with operations of the police here. So there was no movement here from on Sunday from 9 a.m. to about 1 p.m. when the opinion leaders came in to speak to them and then advised that they should open the unauthorized roadblock that they mounted here on Sunday.
JoyNews has been told the toll booth operators had to flee the booths during the disturbances to avoid being caught up in it. The cumulative effect of those actions of the youth are a target of 4,582 cedis, for example, on Sunday was not realized because of the mass action by the residents. So they were only able to raise an amount of 2,825 cedis, a shortfall of 1,700 cedis plus, which was lost because of a protest here. Also on Monday, a similar situation here happened. We are told that a target of 4,974 cedis was not met. The operators were only able to realize 3,609 cedis. Also, 1,000 cedis shortfall in revenue. So altogether, in excess of 2,700 cedis. Though the road is now open to traffic, there are fears the residents could return to block it again. But DCE Emmanuel Agama says there are adequate measures to ensure the international route does not suffer any more blockades.
With this roadblock, is something that disturbs a lot, which we need to up our game so that this thing of this nature will not crop up again.
Komla Adom and Fred Kwame Asari's report from Sogakope in the Volta region.
Meanwhile, in a statement issued by Volta Region Police PRO Corporal Prince Jogbache, the service says it has become necessary to review operational and administrative protocols at the Sogakope Police Station. Meanwhile, former President John Mahama is urging the police to expedite action in pursuit of the perpetrators. Mr. Mahama led a team of NDC officials to console the family of the bereaved over the weekend.
It is God who gives and God who takes. It's sad that his life should have been taken in this way. A young, promising, enterprising person, and the least we can do is to condole with you and ask you to accept what God has done. But we must seek justice for him. And we call on the security services to make sure that they redouble their efforts and find out whoever were behind this action and bring them to justice. And we will not relent. This is an election year. By God's grace, if by the time we have the election, the people have not been found, when our government comes into power, we'll continue to pursue the case until we find out who did it.
And former President Jerry John Rawlings also urged the police administration to equip its men to enable them perform their roles effectively, urging the people and the security agencies to be vigilant to prevent such violent criminal attacks.
I'm also here today to solidarize with you. I should have been in Kumasi for the national parade, but I sought permission to absent myself and to be here to join you to express my condolences, my sympathies with all that's happened over the last month or so, and especially the one that happened a few days ago. I hope that correct information will be coming through to enable us deal with those responsible for that savagery. And I think some of these things happen or are happening because some of the killings that have been going on in this country, and especially in this area, are not being dealt with appropriately. So people feel they can do things like that with impunity and get away with it because they will not pay the price with their lives as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very vigilant to prevent this sort of thing. And I'm saying so especially to the police administration. They should be equipped to do their jobs properly.
Well, in other news, the Center of Awareness Global Peace Mission is seeking the collaboration of scientists and scientific institutions to aid the test and ascertain the authenticity of some medical products they have, which they believe can help cure the COVID-19. Speaking at a media engagement today, Executive President Professor Samuel Ato-Duncan revealed some of the injectables and immune boosters were sent to Wuhan, China 2 weeks ago, and 2 sufferers of COVID-19 who were at the verge of death are now responding to treatment. Well, Professor Duncan is actually here in the studio, and he's joining us for that conversation. Professor Duncan, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I can see something on the table. What is this?
Yeah, they're the core injectables.
These are the injectables?
Yes.
These are what you sent to China?
Yes.
Okay, why did you send them to China?
Some Chinese in Ghana approached me and asked for medicine to be sent to China to treat coronavirus.
But I know that isn't this the Kowa FS? Is a food supplement?
Yeah, we have the Kowa FS and we have the Kowa injectables.
So these are the injectables?
The injectables are mainly for viral infections.
Okay. And then the other one is a food supplement.
Food supplement, that boosts the immune system.
Okay, I just needed to clear that up.
Okay.
So you sent this to China for it to be tested?
Yes.
What has happened?
Within 5 days, well, 2 people who were about to, according to them, they were at the verge of dying, and they applied the Kowa 72 and FS on them. And within 5 days, they were revived and now out of the hospital. So we felt that this was a good news. Prior to that, this has gone through a lot of scientific analysis. For about 15 years, we spent a lot of money to research into finding lasting solution to viral infection, especially HIV, hepatitis B, and herpes simplex viruses. And we've made a remarkable achievement. So prior to them coming for the product, we also thought that there was the need for us to do further research on this against coronavirus. So when the news came, it was a very good news to us. But
how do we know that they were not already on the road to recovery? How do we know that specifically this is what aided their recovery? Because I haven't seen anything to that effect.
Okay, actually, when the medicines were sent to the place, they were afraid to apply on the patients. But they felt that, oh, these 2 people are about to die, so let us try. If it doesn't work, there's no problem. But when they tried, it worked on them and they recovered. But to us, it is not scientific. Now they are, yes, they are, a lot of people are now on the core products. But to us, it is not scientific, hence not conclusive. And that is why the press conference, just to alert international scientists to come together to see whether this can actually work scientifically. What I mean scientifically is there should be a control trials, that there should be a standard protocol set by one of the organizations.
Normally, if they're doing such a test and trials, how is it done? And how long does it normally run for?
This one is acute approach. Well, the way
acute approach meaning?
Short-time measures.
Okay.
Right? Because the rate the coronavirus is spreading, if you don't take care, it can wipe all of us. So there's a need for an immediate kind of research. So you can put about 100, 200 people on the product and monitor them within 1 week to 3 weeks. If it works, then it means it has some activity that will begin to adopt that for an immediate antidote to the coronavirus. And we can also develop, if it works, we can also develop vaccines from the same formula. So this is the time
we must start something as early as possible.
So when you're asking scientific institutions and other people to come on board, what are you asking them for? What are you saying to them?
Yes, what I'm trying to say is there's something in Ghana that has potentials against wide spectrum of viruses, and COVID-19 is not an exception. So let us try. I believe in science, and we are doing science. And in science, you don't just conclude. So
there needs to be testing
there
and
should be.
research
You should have a logical conclusion to whatever you are talking about. And that is why it has taken about 15 years to research into this. So now this is a immediate approach. Now it is working in China, but it
supposedly.
Supposedly. And this is not conclusive.
Exactly.
Yes, and it is not scientific. Scientifically, let's put about 200 people on this product.
So that means
qualified
200 people that you're going to test this on. Is this going to be voluntary, or I mean, how do you test something of this nature on people? Where and how?
Yeah.
You need
who
people who already have coronavirus?
That is, those people who have been affected with the viruses and almost dying. Those are the people we have to try this on. And if it works, then it means it is an antidote. And we can do further research into it and improve upon this for it to be a permanent solution for this coronavirus
so
epidemic.
You said this is going to be like an acute approach, which will be you said a short term, possibly 3 weeks.
Yes,
4
to
weeks,
1 month.
To 1 month.
Yes.
How much does it cost to do such testing and research?
Actually, it depends. This will not cost so much because this is not the sample size will not be big, but it cannot be done in Ghana here. It can be done in where there's this infections. So it can be done in China, Italy, or wherever. Now this research should be led by a research institution like Noguchi in Ghana here, and they can link with
other
research institutions in those
So is it
areas.
possible that a research institution in China would approach you to do this, or have they approached you to do this? A research institution in China, since you said it was tested in China, has any research institution already approached you to do this?
No, this was done privately.
Okay.
Yes, and that is why we are coming out to say we don't want to just conclude. I think China is suffering already. And this is the time, if there's something that can be tested, and if it works, then it will save millions of people in China and other parts of the world. So this is the core. We could have taken a longer period to go through the processes of trying to try this, and that could take us about 6 to 1 year. Now, by then a lot of people would have been wiped off by this particular virus.
So where specifically in China, or which institution in China tested this?
That it was sent to Wuhan province.
Not tested, but they tested it on patients.
Patients,
right?
yes. Yeah. It was tested in a hospital in Wuhan.
Wuhan, okay.
Yes. And our agent here, who is also a Chinese, she organized and sent this through an airline, and it was picked by some soldiers. It was sent to the hospital, and 2 doctors were on standby. They actually communicated.
How did they hear about it?
Oh, they had then taken some of the core FS prior to the.
That's the food supplement.
The food supplement, the food supplement, and it was working for them. And it will interest you to know that Chinese came down to Ghana here to look for the formula and the patent. They just want to buy the formula and produce before even the corona outbreak. You see, and so this is what we have in Ghana here, and people were ready to buy it because it was working for them on a whole lot of issues. Now, when this came up, then they realized, no, this is antiviral. This is an immune booster that supports the immune system. So why don't you try? And they've also heard of the injectables, which have gone to clinical trials. It is it has qualified for clinical trials. And it will interest you.
These are the injectables that have qualified for clinical trials.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
in Ghana or
in Ghana.
Okay.
And this is the first of its kind that injection has been developed out of plants.
It's plant-based.
Plant-based, organic based, and this is also the first time a herbal medicine has qualified for clinical trials in Ghana here, which means a lot of research has gone into this. And we believe in science, so we don't want to jump to conclusions. So let us do a proper scientific trial using the standard protocol. So at the end of the day, World Health Organization can say, oh, when it was tested, it worked. Now let us adopt this as the antidote to this coronavirus.
That's
epidemic.
Interesting. I mean, you know, I'm happy that you're insisting that it has to be tested and there has to be trials because, like you said, you believe in science and it has to be scientific.
Yes.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So the scientific institutions should come and support you, come together and push this through.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've been speaking to Professor Samuel Duncan, and he has these injectables, and also he has the other formula, which is the Corfes food supplement, which has already been certified
by the Food Address Authority as an immune booster.
Okay. So COVID-19, maybe you should watch out because there's an antidote supposedly, but it's yet to be tried. Anyway, so let's move on. It was an all-women affair on the Super Morning Show today as former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Josephine Nkrumah, and professor of law at the University of Ghana, Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, co-hosted the morning show. They shared their experiences on the occasion of the International Women's Day.
It was fun. Last time was fun, and this time I really enjoyed the panel I had today. We had Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, who was also my lecturer when I was at the University of Ghana. We had Ms. Josephine Nkrumah, who is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, so it was interesting hosting a successor because I'd been in that job before. And then we had Mami Awinado. But it was all very good. It was a very rich panel, lots of rich ideas, and we had, of course, Inimwa from Joy FM. Very rich panel, very strong women with very strong, very intelligent views, and it was a very engaging discussion, so I did enjoy it.
I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good thing for Joy to do this program to celebrate International Women's Day.
It was great. I had great women around me, so it was fun as well. It wasn't uptight. It just allowed us to express our views, express what we thought the issues are, and of course it always allows for feedback from the public as well, so you have another perspective. I mean, one of the things I read from, for instance, the SMS messages was a man who was saying that when you talk about submission, you're not talking about subservience, and that submission to his mind was actually a man with a mission who had the support of a woman. So that for me was a takeaway today.
We know what the issues are. We know what the challenges facing women are. I engage with women a lot. I have a platform where I speak to a lot of younger women. And so you really do have your fingers on the pulse. I know what's going on.
So this is the life I live every day. And so, apart from, of course, organizing myself logistically so I could be here, these are thoughts that I share every day with my classes and so on. So I don't think it was any extra burden.
I mean, these are things that we are always confronted with, and so they're things that are always on the back of your mind, and you can speak to them. So probably doing more about the figures, you know, in terms of what the rates are when it comes to how many more women are in school, how many more women are in politics or otherwise. But on the whole, I think it's always been excellent when you've had International Women's Day, and Joy has used your platform to highlight the challenges that women face.
So that was all about International Women's Day. If you missed the conversation, you can still pick it up online and on social media. We're taking a break. Gary is going to be with us after the sports.
This weekend, the sporting landscape in Ghana was dominated by a lot of activity, but one that stood above most here at the Multimedia Group from last week Thursday, I think it was the Ghana Zone 2 Swimming Championship, and it was the international swimming event that saw Ghana swimming teams win 28 medals. With more in this report that you see is Mubarak Haruna of Joy Sports.
Team Senegal were crowned champions after topping the medals table with 21 gold, 16 silver and 12 bronze, totaling 49 medals. Nigeria were second with 9 gold medals, 13 silver and 9 bronze, adding up to 31 medals. Ghana placed third with 4 gold, 8 silver and 16 bronze, making 28 medals. Ghana's Abeku Jackson set a national record in the 50-meter butterfly with a time of 22.92 seconds, but was not enough to secure an Olympic qualification.
It's a great feeling. I'm most happy with my time and my teammates pushing hard. I think personally we worked hard towards this. We trained hard. We got together. We just said to ourselves we're going to give our best for Team Ghana. Whatever happens, that's not our worry. We just come out here and give our best.
Okay, now Mali came in fourth with 4 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze, making 7 medals. In fifth place is Cameroon with 2 gold, 3 silver and no bronze, making 5 medals. Nubia Eje won gold and set a personal record with a time of 1 minute 09.60 seconds in the women's 100-meter backstroke. Nubia, who was making her debut in the championship, enjoyed the experience.
I think it was a really nice experience for something that I just did for the first time. I think it was really good. I'd rate it quite high. I'm proud of how I performed. Yeah, I don't think I could have done any more. I think I did well.
You know, what is your way forward now?
Way forward?
Yeah, your way forward.
Improve my time, get better, and just move forward with all my individual strokes and relays.
Zara Forsen, the sister of Kaya Forsen, wants to better her time going forward after recording 2 minutes 17.79 seconds in the women's 200-meter freestyle.
I am really happy with my performance. It is incredible to be able to get medals at this competition. I'm just in awe. I love it. I'm really happy. I just want to make personal best, lower my times, do as best as I can, and just focus on every race as it comes. I'm taking it one step at a time. Every competition is important. I do my best every time. And yeah, I'm training really hard to get to it.
Maya Ayaware, who led Ghana to win silver in the women's 4x100-meter freestyle relay, was happy with the outcome of the event.
I got a bronze and a silver medal, which I'm really happy about. And I did better times than my last competition, which I'm also very content about. But I still have to work on the aim on dropping my time, so yes.
The national team head coach, Abiu Jackson, was impressed with his swimmers despite finishing third in the championship.
The key thing is they're staying on course. As I mentioned earlier, we're using 16 years and others to back up Abeku. And the thing is, they should stay focused and they should try and be within the medal zone. As you can see, we're picking a number of bronze and silver, which means that we're doing extremely well. These guys are still in their juniors category, but they're swimming with their seniors and they're medaling. And for me, that's what I wanted to see. Now, I think you should just picture there's the possibility of having the zone 2 juniors in October. This is fantastic training for these guys to just go and wipe everybody out within their age category. So I'm excited.
Coach, as you said, you are really impressed with your team. It's like they are doing very well, to be honest, from an objective point of view. What is their secret? How come they are so good?
You see, there are a number of things that you need to do to prepare a team. It's not just about the technical training. It's also about, working with them psychologically. Don't feel intimidated. Fight for what you can. Believe in yourself. Go have fun.
My last words to them is go have fun.
Ghana will have an opportunity to secure a place in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics in the Africa Senior Swimming Championship slated for 15th to the 23rd of April in South Africa.
He says, and that's exactly what we are doing here on the special International Women's Day edition of The Pulse. I'm Gary Al Smith. Apologies that I'm not a woman on this one. Bye.